Hello, explorers, and welcome to Reach the World's Explorer program. For more than 25 years, Reach the World has inspired youth to become curious, confident, and compassionate global citizens through virtual exchange. My name is Tim, and I hope you're ready for a big journey today to the bottom of the world as we reconnect with explorer and atmospheric scientist Chelsea Bekemeier and the Cleanest Air on Earth expedition. We even have some bonus surprise guests today, and in just a minute, we'll meet them all as we join Chelsea and friends live from aboard the Australian Antarctic Program's research vessel, RSV Nuyina. As always, if you haven't already read Chelsea's outstanding virtual exchange articles, please take a look at the chat area for a direct link to her homepage, which is overflowing with amazing dispatches from her journey so far. A warm welcome to the classes that are joining us today, including Miss German Ruperto students at PS1, Miss Petticone students at Demarest Elementary in New Jersey, Mr. Gardner students in Georgia, Miss Wu students at Old Turnpike Middle School in New Jersey as well, Miss Ogbo students at PSMS 42Q, and Miss Voss students in Colorado, just to shout out a few of you. Everyone's joining in a slightly different way today, so however you're following, thanks for being here. If you're joining us via YouTube, drop those questions and comments for Chelsea in the chat at any time, and we'll fold them into today's event. Now, let's put on our polar parkas and journey to the Southern Ocean off Antarctica to welcome Reach the World explorer and atmospheric researcher Chelsea Bekemeier. Chelsea, welcome back to Reach the World. Hello.
Hello, good to see you guys.
Hey, it's great to see you too. And you've got friends today. Who have you brought to introduce us to?
I have brought my entire team. So here we have Jacob, Salvatore, and then Kelsey and Tom. Oh,
Hello.
and we have a special friend, Stay.
All right.
So I actually am going to let Tom talk about Stay whenever you're ready for that.
Sure. Well, it's hard to focus on anything else besides the large dog in the middle of your table now that we see it there. So why don't we start with that? Tell us about Stay.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Tom. I'm one of the expeditioners on board. I have the honor to work with this amazing crew of atmospheric scientists, but I'm also the resident Antarctican. So this is Stay. Stay is our dog. Being in Antarctica, where there's not too much wildlife, we have to bring our own. So Stay is our loyal steed that comes with us everywhere we go. But it's rather mischievous because Stay will do as she pleases. So it will occasionally hop on an aeroplane and get flown to another station, or hop on a ship and come out and do some amazing science with us. And occasionally on the ship, she'll get up to mischief and go and hide around the place. And we're lucky enough today that we took her on an adventure to come and meet you guys.
Fabulous. It's great to have Stay with us. How helpful, honestly, is Stay in your research? Are they providing meaningful contributions to the research that's being done?
Yes, I would say Stay is like our quality assurance provider, making sure that keeping an eye, making sure we're doing our job, keeping us in line.
Fabulous. Well, Stay, I'm glad you're here today. I was hoping maybe we could go around the table and hear a little bit about some of Chelsea, your special guest today. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a part of the expedition team.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Jacob. I'm originally from North Carolina in the US. I spent the last couple of years in Europe, and then I moved down south to Australia. One of the reasons was because I'm a polar scientist working in the Arctic, and I wanted to come down and work in the Antarctic. And so what better place to do it but on an amazing ship with amazing people doing really cool science. And I really just wanted to come and explore this region of the Earth, as it's very pristine. And the climate change is such an important aspect here that I felt it was very important to make a contribution to that effort. And that's how we ended up here.
All right, I'm just moving myself backstage so you all are a little bit bigger on the screen. If you want to go on to our next special guest, go ahead.
Oh, I guess, Salvo, you go.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Salvatore Sodano. I'm Italian. That's why I don't speak really well English. I apologize for that. I'm a PhD student of the University of Tasmania, in which I study the microphysics of the aerosols. So I finished here in Australia because I tried to follow my dream work. So this for me, doing research is a dream work. So that's why I'm here, because I feel that I can improve myself, my skill more than stay in Italy. So and I want to take a part of resolving the big issues of the climate change. So I'm trying to do my best and improve every day. And that's it.
Thanks, Salvo.
Thank you.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
My name's Tom. I'm Australian. I don't know if you can tell from my accent, but I grew up in the west coast of Perth, of Australia, in Perth. Pretty small little city, but yeah, went to university there and spent a bit of time working in Los Angeles, which was good fun. And then for the last couple of years, I've been working down in Antarctica. So I spent the last 2 years down at Davis Station, and now I'm working on the research vessels. So I support the science system, so I'm not doing the big science things, but I'm keeping the instruments running and you know, just getting up to mischief in the overall scheme of things.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kelsey, and I'm originally from Utah. I currently work at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, and I ended up here because I research clouds and precipitation in the Southern Ocean. So that's what I contribute to this atmospheric science team. And I also bring some past experience on vessels and different research expeditions. So yeah, that's another thing I can contribute.
Excellent. Kelsey, very nice to see you again. We all remember our journey with you last year, so you are no stranger to us, of course. It's really nice. Really nice to have you all here today. I know you're awake, maybe at a time you might not normally be awake, in order to connect with Reach the World students, and we appreciate that. I want to dive right in. In the past, we've talked a lot about what it was like to get for Chelsea's journey to the ship itself, the journey to the Antarctic continent. And I think the last time we left off, we were just about to really get into the science that you all are doing aboard the ship. You've been at it for several weeks now, and I know there's a lot going on the science front. So can we hear an update on what a day is like for you as you continue the science program that you came to Antarctica to do?
Yeah, I guess I can start. I made a joke a couple days ago that it's starting to feel like Groundhog Day because we do a lot of similar stuff every day. It's kind of like a marathon for 2 months of the same work over and over and over again. But it is really fun and enjoyable, and it's good to have a schedule as well. So like for today, I woke up around like 6:30 a.m. and then we went and launched a balloon with Kelsey. So our weather balloons that we launch into the air, and we can see a profile of the atmosphere and find out all kinds of information from that. And then afterwards, we go and change my filters. So I have 2 different towers that I believe you guys have seen pictures of, and they collect little filters. So we go collect them, and then I go down to the lab. I take them out, I process them, I put them in the freezer. And then we have some time to sit down and look at data, talk as a team, which we did meet as a team today to go over some stuff that we're looking at, which was cool. And then after that, we eat a lot on the ship. So we eat again, we go breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between. And then we have some fun. And then I did a CTD. So the big rosette, we dump it to the ocean and then bring it up and I collect seawater from it. And then I go back to the lab and I process that. And then we go to do a balloon launch. And yeah, that's a lot of the science. And in between there, we find time to go to the gym and have fun or just eat more. Anybody else?
Excellent. Yeah, what I'd love to hear, I know this is the whole or a big chunk of the atmospheric team. How do some of the typical days of other people at the table is everybody's day the same, or do your days vary a little bit based on what your particular interest or contribution is to the program?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit. So one of, I guess, my main roles is I'm kind of in charge of doing the weather balloons. And so one task that I do every day, which everyone on the team helps out with, is launching the weather balloons. Then based on that first profile that we do in the morning, the first data that we're collecting, we decide if we're going to do more measurements throughout the day. So if there's some really interesting clouds or really interesting aerosols we're seeing, then maybe we want to collect data more frequently and do more of the weather balloons. And then I guess one other thing that I do every day is I write up a daily log. And so in that log, I include some observations of weather, like what did the clouds look like? Was it sunny? Was it really windy? Was there something unique that happened? Did we see a lot of whales? Did we see a lot of penguins? All of that data can help us to remember what was happening at a certain time in a certain place when we're trying to piece together the data later.
All right. And Jacob, how does that compare to your average day?
Yeah, I would say it's very similar to what Chelsea described. We all participate in a lot of the activities. So for instance, I help with the radio stunts and with Chelsea's filters. But one thing me and Salvatore do is we're in charge of the aerosol laboratory right at the very front of the ship. We have a huge tower inlet that is right at the front of the ship. So we measure very clean air before it can reach other parts of the ship. And so we go out there every day, look at all of our instruments and make sure that they're running properly. And in between there, we look at the data and make sure nothing's wrong with the instruments. And then we try to interpret some things while we have some free time. But our most important job is just making sure these instruments are collecting data continuously 24/7.
All right. Thank you for that. And Salvatore, I have a question for you. I have heard from our students that they wonder why you have to be at sea for so long. I know we've heard most directly from Chelsea that she's been at sea for weeks and weeks now and is doing the same things over and over from day after day after day and collecting all of this different data. Why can't you just do a couple days of that and call it a successful expedition and come home?
So I think Chelsea and Jacob already said everything properly. What I want to add is that this kind of expedition is sometimes should be more intense. So have more intense period that, like at the beginning of the expedition, we had some issues in every day, maybe stay there all the day to try to solve the issues, because for us, be sure that the instrument work properly is the main thing. No, we are here to do that. But now it's like for me personally, I try to do my normal life on board, because every one of us try to do that. And I went, like in my routine, I went every day, every morning at 7:45 in the gym. So to do like CrossFit, this is why how I spend my morning until 9, then breakfast, and then help all the team to try to figure out what's happening in the lab, if we have some important event to analyze all together. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
And
Oh, go ahead, Chelsea.
Can I also just add that that's a really good question from the kids. And one of the coolest things about this expedition in particular is that it really is late autumn, like samples that we're getting. This is a very like uncharted territory for these measurements, and it's very difficult to get ships down here in late autumn and winter. Like I don't have any winter data for the Southern Ocean because you can't do an expedition. And this is, as far as I know, one of the latest expeditions for INP measurements.
Okay, well, that raises two more questions. One of which is, why is it possible for you all to be down there when it's so difficult for others at this time of year? And we were speaking before we went live, that there are leaves coming out on the trees by me in Chicago, and something very different is happening by you where you are. So maybe you can let me know, what is it that makes it possible? I assume it has something to do with the ship, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I can start and others can chime in too, but we are on an icebreaker. So it's a ship that's specifically designed to break ice. That's its job. So it's very good at going through the sea ice, but it can also go as far as into like thick ice to Davis, which was an expedition that Tom actually came back to Hobart on, was one of the big ice breaking expeditions. So this ship is specially designed to do these late autumnal season expeditions and hopefully get us back safely before the start of winter in the Southern Hemisphere.
Great. And two very concrete questions. Maybe these can go to Kelsey. Kelsey, what time of day is it for you right now? It's hard to tell because you look like you're in a conference room, and maybe there are not windows. Yep, don't seem to be. Oh, there is a window. What time of day is it? And what is the temperature outside approximately?
So right now it is 10:18 at night, and let's see, Chelsea's pulling the temperature, but
Let's do the wind chill. That's always more fun.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll do what it is with wind chill. Right now it is minus 30.7 degrees Celsius with wind chill, and that means that you can get frostbite in 30 minutes outside.
Wow.
And I don't know if you can see it, but our window is completely frozen.
Amazing.
And so are all the doors.
I would expect it would be. Can someone speak to sort of the special precautions you need to take when you go outside in minus 30 something degrees Celsius weather? I'm sure there are a lot of safety sort of things you need to keep in mind when you decide to go outside. You all look very warm and comfortable inside the ship, but what do you do when you have to go outside and change those filters or fix a piece of equipment or launch a balloon?
Yeah, I can answer that. Basically, you put on many layers, and you wear a big heavy coat, and you try to cover up any piece of exposed skin, and if not, then you'll feel it very quickly. So Salvatore's going to put on his coat, and you can see this is a very thick, big, heavy coat. But we still will wear a sweatshirt and a undershirt, and we wear long underwear and big, heavy boots and really thick socks and 2 pairs of gloves. And if it's really, really windy, we have ski goggles that we can put on. And so you really need to be very cautious, because less than 30 minutes outside, sometimes shorter than that, you can get frostbite. And so this is what we look like when we go outside, all wrapped up.
Can I invite Salvatore to come up to the front of the conference table if he can fit through the gap between the chairs and the wall so we can get a good look at him? I don't think we can see
So yeah,
any exposed skin, maybe just around your eyes.
yes, and sometimes we put double layer of gloves also because it's too cold outside. And
If you touch exposed metal with your hand, with your skin, it can freeze to it and it can hurt very bad.
All right. Well, let me ask Tom then. I know, Tom, you describe, where did Salvatore go? I know there's a person in there somewhere. Amazing. Thank you for a wonderful demonstration. Tom, when you have something that breaks or needs your attention, we just heard from Jacob that you stick to metal in temperatures this cold. How do you even begin to address questions like that on the ship under such extreme circumstances?
Well, it's actually very good fun because you get to go out dressed up as I was there, and you go out to your broken instrument, and the parts are too small to hold onto with gloves. So you've got to take a hand out of your glove. You've then got to work very quickly, and then you've got to put your hands back in your gloves and wait for a few minutes while your hand warms back up, because it's not like being cold at home where you just put on another sweater. You actually get very, very painful. So your hands will get sore, and so you'll have to stop and wait for your hands to warm up while you sit and watch the icebergs go by. And it's beautiful because, yeah, you're here working, but then you have to stop and have to look at the birds, at the eye, at the sea, at the icebergs. It's wonderful. But because they're cold, things break down far more often than you think they should or think they might. So you do get to go out quite often.
Well, I appreciate you bringing up the fun aspect of all of this, because some people who are watching may think, well, that sounds very difficult, or that sounds really awful. It sounds really uncomfortable. Why would you go to such great lengths to do it? And I know there are a lot of positives, a lot of reasons people really, really want to be part of expeditions like this, not only for the science and the amazing data you're collecting through your combined efforts, but also the fun. Let's go around the table. What is the most fun part about what you're doing on the ship? If there's, despite the cold, despite the dark, despite the maybe irregular sleep hours, what do you really enjoy the most, or what are you loving the most about being on the expedition?
I guess I can start. I just being outside. It's so much fun. I love when it's cold. I think yesterday when we got the -36 wind chill, I was like, yes, I finally beat my record from skiing in Canada, and I was like super excited, and it was just a blast to go outside with people and do the boiling water trick and do like ice art because it freezes instantly. Just seeing everything and being outside is just such a like crazy experience. It's super fun.
For me, I would say the people, getting to listen to other sciences and experience all of this as it's happening. Working with a lot of the data on your computer is a lot of fun, but then being here, like Chelsea said, outside, experiencing some of these things you see in your data, but then now you're experiencing it in real life, seeing the conditions of the ice, and then looking at your data and just being in it is really rewarding. And then getting things to work, like Tom's saying, when everything breaks and then you finally fix it and you get your data, it's very, very precious data. And so I'm just really happy to be here with all these amazing people doing cool science.
yeah, and then I want to say, stay here doing this job and maintain our instrument, catch this data in this place is one of the most important part of the expedition. In terms of like funny stuff, personal life, there's a lot of activity on board to do. Like sometimes we organize dance party all together, or if you want to just chill, we have an amazing observation deck here in which you can just sit, chill out, chill down, chill, and have a coffee and enjoy the view of the Antarctica. That is amazing.
And Salvatore makes the best coffee.
Yeah, no, life aboard is brilliant. There's never a dull moment. There's never a boring moment, and yeah, it's just brilliant all round. You just sit there. You can look out at the window for hours on end because it's never the same view, and it's constantly changing, and it's just magnificent.
Yeah, I think I'd say probably the people too. One of the things that I do every day is I actually volunteer with another research group studying sea ice. And so I do a sea ice observation every day. And basically all we do is like make a log of what the sea ice looks like, what stage is it at, what is the temperature like outside, things like that. But I volunteer with one of the safety officers on board. And so I get to learn so much from him every single day about like, what is the sea ice we're seeing? What does it mean? And he'll have some like fun story about a time he was deployed in Antarctica on a different field project. And so it's just like the experience of getting to work with all these people and hearing these really wild stories that I would have never, ever heard about except for being on this voyage. So I think all of that is really fun. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Some overlap in your answers and lots of sort of different favorites too mixed in there. Sounds like there's always something to do. I'm gonna make another invitation to our classrooms that are watching. If you want to pop a question into the chat, I'm very, very happy to ask it on your behalf. I know it takes some courage to pop up and ask a question to our special guest, but they would love to answer them, I'm sure. So pop them into the chat. If you want me to ask on your behalf, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to share a couple other questions that I know students are very interested in. And I think it was maybe, I can't remember who mentioned whales, but wildlife is a very, very special thing about where you are in the world. And outside of your research, and I know actually there is some research going on with tagging seals, I believe. Like how's the wildlife spotting been going? What are you seeing on maybe a daily basis, or what's a really special event that has happened on the ship?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great wildlife. I mean, we've seen penguins, whales, seals. We've seen emperor penguins, Adelie penguins, a lot of humpback whales. The seal tagging just started on Sunday, so that was interesting to watch. But I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey because she had the coolest experience and got to see a killer whale, I think 2 days ago in the morning. So you can tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of funny because I was actually in the observation lounge on the ship and I saw someone else standing outside and they were like waving their hands and like pointing in the water. And so I looked over the side of the observation deck. There's like a window and you can peer over the side of the window, and down right next to the boat, there was 2 orcas or killer whales. And they were just kind of going along the side of the ship, kind of checking us out. And so I ran outside, me and Salvo, we both ran outside, and we walked to the back of the ship, and you could actually see the orcas like coming to the surface next to the ship, and then they kind of just headed off along their way. But it was gorgeous because it was sunrise, and so they would actually like blow, and the color of the glow from the orcas would be like red because of the sunrise.
That sounds amazing. Is that like a ship-wide event when something happens like that? Do you ever make like an announcement, everybody rushes outside, or is it like whoever's there gets to see it? Did that audio come through? Oh, sorry, I didn't catch your answer to that.
Oh no.
Oh no. Well, okay.
Round two.
Round two. Yeah, we just saw some orcas or killer whales next to the ship the
sorry,
other
you
day.
don't need to start over. We heard about your witnessing the orcas. My question is,
okay.
like, if there is something really special like that, is there an announcement made on the ship, or is it just whoever's lucky enough to be on deck gets to witness that special thing?
Yeah, so we have this, basically the only way we can communicate with each other in the outside world besides email is WhatsApp. So we have a WhatsApp group for the ship, and people will put if there's any sightings in. However, the sightings are very ephemeral, very short. So it is kind of a matter of right place, right time. And unfortunately, I was so sad because that was the one day I decided to get some extra sleep, and I missed it. So now I will not sleep ever again.
And we saw how quickly Salvatore got all of his gear on, but I would imagine it usually takes a little longer than that to get suited up. And you might not, if you got the message, you might not make it outside in time.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, another member of this group mentioned food briefly, and I want to return to food because students are always fascinated by what you mean when you say you eat a lot of food on the ship. You've been at sea for a couple of weeks now, like maybe over a month, like closing in on
it's been 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So you've been at sea with 6 weeks, no grocery store stops, no Target runs, none of that. You're still plenty of food, lots to eat. What do you eat on a typical meal?
I'll kick it off and then I guess we can go around. But yeah, they stock the boat really well. We have a full team of chefs that cook for us. So it's wonderful because I don't have to cook. And the meals that we've had are absolutely incredible. And burrito, we actually get 4 meals a day if we want. So we have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then midnight meal because we have people doing shifts all throughout the day. So there really is not a morning or evening. It's just kind of constant. But the food is incredible, and it's kind of a part of the life of the ship to go sit down and eat a meal together, have an afternoon tea together. It really is not just about the food. It's about the community and getting to enjoy each other's company. So it's a really good time. And I will say my favorite thing on the ship has been the sticky date pudding, which is an Australian thing, and I've never had it. And now I'm going to crave it for the rest of my life. There you go.
Yeah, the food is amazing. Let's just put it that way. They do an excellent job, and we had avocados today after 6 weeks at sea. Fresh avocados, and so we still have a very large selection, and it's just all really, really good. That's all I can say.
It's good because, as Chelsea said, the ship never sleeps. There's always some people working, and this means that in your normal activity, you need to be quiet and don't be loud. But like for eating, there's always something to eat: coffee, a snack, Tim Tam cookies, and that are like infinite. Yes, and during the mealtime, the chefs are like high quality chefs, so it's really good, and they try to propose us different kind of meal every day, different dishes, and this is really good. I mean, this is good. Yeah.
So speaking to the chefs, I think we would have left port with about 30,000 pounds worth of food. And so we're probably, a good way through that now. So that 30,000 pounds probably goes on all our waistlines, little bit by bit. But anyway.
Yeah. I guess one unique dish that we have kind of frequently is what is it called?
Chicken parmy?
Chicken parmy. Yeah. It's just like chicken
Perfectly
parmesan.
normal.
Yeah, but it's just a
Australian
chicken
version
and
with some ham and cheese.
Yeah.
So I want to add the last stuff. I basically bring with me a mocha pot, an Italian mocha pot, and because I usually, do the mocha pot, prepare the mocha pot every day. I try to bring my normal life on board also, and go some, not every day, but someday go to the kitchen. I go to the kitchen and prepare the mocha pot for all the people that stay there, and try to share and to be like a community also around this small thing that is the coffee.
Excellent. Kelsey, anything to add? Are you good? Great. Well, I kind of a fun question for you. After 6 weeks of being at sea, and it sounds like you get taken care of really, really well in the food department. If you could have like a parachute fall from the sky with one item that you don't have on the ship that would just like absolutely make your day right now. I didn't give you any time to think about this. This is just a random question. Is there anything that immediately comes to mind, like food wise, that you're really missing from home?
I would say, okay, Australian food, phenomenal. Australian have their cookies, or excuse me, their biscuits, are phenomenal. But the one thing I will say is that Australian snacks are nothing compared to American snacks.
We've got shapes. What more do you want?
Shapes are terrible. So I would say Ritz crackers, or some type of
We have Ritz.
Yeah.
they're not as good. You don't have the red dye 40. Or just any other American chip or something crunchy from the US sounds really good right now.
Excellent. Are you all keeping in touch with people off of the ship? Are you, somebody mentioned WhatsApp is a way that you can send messages to family and friends off of the ship. Are there any other ways to keep in touch, or is it also sort of nice to just be a world apart and be a little bit out of touch?
Yeah, I mean, we can still video as we are right now, call our loved ones. The downside to that is that we also have Zoom meetings from work. And so we are still connected, but it is very, very important that we can still talk to our loved ones, because that just really keeps us going. So yeah, I mean, I talk to my parents and my partner all the time. And it really helps after a long day of work.
Excellent. So the upside is that we get a chance to talk to you like we are today, and we get to see what you're doing and learn all about your expedition. The downside is that you don't get out of other work meetings because of the same technology.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I want to return just briefly in the couple minutes we have. I've seen a lot of questions about the science in particular. And we've had a long runway to learn about Chelsea and her lab and the work she's doing with her filters and aerosols. Chelsea, can you give us sort of a ballpark estimate of how many of your filters you've used so far?
Yeah, today we put in our 39th filter for each. So we've taken 39 samples so far. Tomorrow will be 40. And then in terms of radiosondes, I believe we're very close to 100. So
We
maybe
might be over.
we might be over 100 now. Yeah, and the rest of the data is continuous. So basically 39 days of continuous data.
And the radiosondes are the transmitters connected to the weather balloons, correct?
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Okay, no, I'm just making it really clear. So you've launched over 100 weather balloons at this point.
Yes.
Amazing. And generally speaking, are you happy with the data that you're collecting? You've gone to such great efforts to get all of this data. Are you happy with the quality of the data that you're collecting through all of these means?
From a personal standpoint, yes, I'm super excited. For the reason I said at the beginning, like a lot of this data is being collected for the first time in this region and for the first time in this like season. I really don't have a lot of autumnal data, and so I'm super excited that I'm actually going to be able to fill in those gaps for the first time.
Excellent. Anyone else want to
Anybody else?
comment on their data?
Yeah, I would just say that we've had like a couple really unique events happen. Like for example, like seeing some low-level clouds that we're really interested in studying more. And so I'm really happy with what we've seen so far, and I'm really happy with what we'll continue to see during our time down here.
It's great. We learned from Chelsea this week in her article that Antarctica is one of the, if not the cloudiest places on Earth. So I'm interested to know what extra clouds looks like in the cloudiest place on Earth, or special clouds looks like.
Yeah, I guess the clouds that we look for are below level clouds. So something that's about, let's say, under 1 kilometer above the ocean. And then we look for thin clouds. So we want them to be less than 1 kilometer thick about. And then one thing that is kind of interesting is looking at like the optical depth. So that's basically like how see-through the cloud is. We're looking for optically thick clouds, so clouds you can't just immediately see through. And then we're also interested in precipitation, both the liquid form that we see like more on our way down south to Antarctica, and the colder precipitation like the snow and like little frozen droplets that we see down here in Antarctica. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. We have 2 minutes left, and I want to end on a really fun, light question. The question is, in the remaining time that you have aboard the ship, and this can be quick answers around the table, what is like one thing that you want to just keep doing and do until they kick you off the ship and send you home? Like what is the most fun thing, or the most interesting thing, or the thing that you might anticipate you're really going to miss when the expedition is over, and you're going to try to get as much of it as possible before you're through?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss the sunrises and sunsets. I love putting in some good music and just going out on the helipad and watching the majesty that is nature. So I'm gonna miss that a lot once we head back. Jacob.
Yeah, I would say miss being here with some of these people. I've made some really good friendships, and just being in this environment too. It's a really special place to be on a ship like this. You're always interacting with people, and so that's oftentimes what makes experiences in life is the people, and we have amazing people here.
Yeah, I would say I personally like a lot when I like jump outside, and all the scenarios panorama is always different. But also I like to work a lot. So being here on board the vessel, that is like a big workplace, allow me to work really focusing on the science in general, and it's a good also. I will miss also to have all of these amazing researchers around me and having this kind of really interesting discussion with these people, because you have always something to learn from the others. So it's a really good point to stay here and share everything with these people.
Yeah, I just like looking out the windows. It's a magnificent view, and it's a pretty rare view. So yeah, I'll be glued to the windows.
Yeah, I think I'll say I'll miss watching the birds here. There are these birds that are called petrels, and they're pretty small birds. And we have a bunch of different species that have been around like this whole voyage, but they're so small and they look like they shouldn't belong in this like really harsh, cold environment, but they just kind of flitter around and float across the water, and I'll miss watching that. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Chelsea,
you all.
you mentioned sunrise and the sunset, but
Yeah.
we also should remember the magnificent aurora
Oh, the
australis.
auroras. Yeah, the auroras.
Every
Are,
night
the
we
auroras are great.
we have a really nice aurora here.
Yes.
What do you mean by aurora? Can you paint us a picture, a mental picture?
Yeah. So a lot of the kids have probably heard of like aurora borealis, which is the northern lights. So down here we get the southern lights, or aurora australis. Since we are so far south, it's been pretty vivid and pretty easy to see the whole trip. If we get a really nice clear night, you'll see kind of, it looks like ribbons moving across the sky of green and red, and it's just been phenomenal. I will try to include some pictures for the next article. I forgot to include them so far, but I will make a point to put them in there.
Excellent. I have to ask, the Southern Lights are an atmospheric phenomenon. Are they of interest to you scientifically, or is that in a different sort of section of the sky?
Yeah, so that would fall more under solar weather, which I personally, as a nerd, am like in love with. So I can take you on a dive down the aurora australis realm if you ever want. But for my research, not so much. It's a little bit too high up. It's in the magnetosphere, which is like the top layer, well, magnetosphere, exosphere of our atmosphere, and we deal with the lowest level, the troposphere. But as personally, yes, I'm very interested.
All right. Thank you so much. I feel like we could just keep asking questions for hours and hours, but it's bedtime for many of you, or at least anyone who got up at 6:45 to work out this morning. Thank you all so much. Chelsea, Kelsey, Jacob, Salvatore, and Tom, thank you so much for talking to us today. We got through a ton of questions. You answered them all. It was awesome to connect with you live from the Southern Ocean. Really appreciate you sharing your work and what you've been up to. Thank you to all the students in classrooms for joining us today. Our virtual exchange journey with Chelsea and friends continues. We'll connect with her again very soon. And until then, there are more articles to come on her Journey homepage. Be sure to check back weekly for the latest. There's a logbook coming soon to describe everyday life again with some great photos from the ship. And maybe we'll see some pictures of the Southern Lights in there as well. So it's great to be on this journey with you all. And until next time, keep exploring. Goodbye and thank you.